God.
What is going on, guys? Furious Nation, right here on YouTube.com. Furious Nation YouTube channel, right here on YouTube.com. I am Nick Fiore. This is the SummerSlam 2021 review and results video for August the 22nd, or August 21st now. So I'm doing SummerSlam, and first SummerSlam on a Saturday. Mystery SummerSlam. It felt weird for SummerSlam on Saturday, but SummerSlam 2021 on Saturday, August the 21st of 2021. I'm Nick Fiore. And as you can see on the left hand screen of this very video, I have a guest. Just like with the SummerSlam preview predictions video recently on the channel, I have a guest here for the SummerSlam review and results video right here in the Fiore Station channel, right here onto YouTube. My guest for the SummerSlam review, he is another good man, just like John Doherty. Also, one of John Doherty's younger brothers. He has a podcast of his own and liking to talk like sports, like MMA, wrestling, and such. But he's a good man and has a good podcast. Highly recommend checking him out, and talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. But nonetheless, my guest for the SummerSlam review video, ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to have him here in the channel tonight reviewing SummerSlam. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Doherty. Matt,
thank you. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Nick. I'm doing good, Nick. Thanks for having me. Pleasure being here.
What'd you think of SummerSlam tonight?
Like I said, subpar at best, I think. How would you feel? I'm feeling it sub. I feel like its highs were high, but its lows were real low.
I got a lot to say, man. Subpar, I would say yes. How would I grade it? I would say like a D. I would give
it D? You'd give it a D? You wouldn't even pass it?
C minus, just because of what happened after Reigns and Cena. Because of what happened after Reigns versus Cena, which main evented SummerSlam tonight, folks. Brock Lesnar is back. The Beast Incarnate is back. Brock, ponytail Brock, Butcher Brock Lesnar is back.
Different Brock
in WWE.
Fun Brock.
And I did see rumors a while before and recently that Brock Lesnar was rumored to sign with All Elite Wrestling. Apparently, those rumors are untrue. It's false. He's not going to AEW. He's not signing with Tony Khan. So he's in WWE, which honestly, I think, is it the right move? I
think so. I think Ring.
No, because you're going back to square one, because there's no one on the SmackDown roster right now for Roman after seeing SummerSlam tonight. But also, yes, because Brock is a money-making draw, just like CM Punk makes a universal difference, and it's like a big deal. And it's like when motivated, Brock is great. And Heyman and after tonight and after SummerSlam tonight, it looks like we're getting Brock and Roman after SummerSlam tonight. And some people may hate it because of what happened in 2018 when Roman was a babyface before he turned heel last year at SummerSlam 2020.
Long time ago.
When they were forcing Roman down their throats as a babyface, and that was when 2018 nobody wanted to see them wrestle because of how they booked their matches in 2018, just overdone, and nobody wanted to see the match, period, and et cetera. I was one of those detractors. I didn't want to see it anymore at all back in 2018, 3 years ago. But what Roman's doing now as the tribal chief, and with Brock back in front of fans, you were not going to have him in the Thunderdome. And Brock looks great with the ponytail. And with Heyman, with Reigns, and now with this Lesnar thing, I'm going to give it a chance. I don't trust WWE to do the right thing, but just have Heyman write the thing. And but I'm going to give it a shot, though, and see what happens. I just hope and pray to God that they don't have Heyman turn on Reigns and give Lesnar back the title. That's going right back to square one, and I hope that's not the case at all. I cannot put it past them, but I'm very fearful of that. I don't want to see that.
I'm putting my chips in. I think they're not going to fuck this up. I really don't. I really think they're going to pull through on this.
I don't have much hope in them, but I just hope they do the right thing. If they're going to do Brock and Reigns, fine. As long as they have Lesnar put over Reigns, okay.
Yeah, they have to have. They can't have Brock be the champion again. That'd be pointless.
In Lesnar's career, he doesn't really need to be a champion anymore.
No, he's done it all. He's very
put him over. That's what he should be doing at this point, at this stage of his career right now. Being like what? He's like what in his 40s? He's like what? Just
40s.
45 a month ago, or not 45?
Yeah, basically just 2018 back.
Mid 40s. Doesn't need to win titles anymore.
I think Brock is,
but he should be there to put guys over right now. But apparently, and just seeing this, Lesnar after and SummerSlam just went off the air. Apparently, Lesnar sent Cena to Suplex City and F5 Cena in the middle of the ring. Actually, just now when SummerSlam just going off the air right now. So I don't know if that means anything or leads anything, but I don't know.
It's giving.
I thought SummerSlam was subpar. I would agree. Probably one of the worst SummerSlams in my opinion. But what do you think of Reigns Lesnar? What do you think of Reigns and Lesnar? Like, where do you think it takes place? Like, what do you think could happen?
I think
and where do you like? Just I want to get your quick thoughts and opinions before we get started on the review.
I'm like, I definitely think they're going to do a Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, like Finn Balor type rivalry first. I think they're going to like push that first, and then they're going to.
It hasn't been seen in a few weeks since earlier this month when he got chased out in the guillotine by Roman. Is he trying to sell the injury? And we haven't seen him in a few weeks.
What's his name? I think they're going to push Brock and Roman. I think they're going to have a one-on-one match at like Survivor Series.
I could see that. I mean, Lesnar Reigns, that big of a match with what Roman's doing now, I don't think it's smart to give it away at like next month's pay-per-view being Extreme Rules. That's a D-level pay-per-view.
No, casuals aren't paying attention to Extreme Rules. Just not.
Like a D-level gimmick show in Extreme Rules, which is unnecessary, which Extreme Rules needs to go away, like Hell in a Cell, TLC, Fastlane, Money in the Bank, and have the Money in the Bank return at Mania. Lesnar and Reigns to give it away at Extreme Rules is stupid. I would not do it at Extreme Rules. I would agree with you, Matt. I'd do it at the Survivor Series, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, that's the best one, don't you think? Because
you could still do Survivor Series brand warfare, champion versus champion, but I think they did it in 2019. They had a WWE title match and a Universal title match. You could do that same thing, but still a brand versus brand at Survivor Series. You don't have to do world champion versus world champion for brand warfare at Survivor Series if that's what they want to do.
I mean, you could just also just be like, "Oh, Brock's on Raw." Yeah.
Though with Reigns obviously on SmackDown, it's the tribal chief and head of the table, and what happened with Lesnar at the end of SummerSlam tonight. Does it look like we see Lesnar on SmackDown? Because remember, in 2019, when SmackDown moved over to Fox, Fox wanted Brock Lesnar onto SmackDown. Then they got him. Then early November of 2019 episode of SmackDown and storyline, Lesnar quit SmackDown, went back to Raw. And Fox, I don't know if this was a Fox thing. Maybe it was a Fox thing. Maybe they wanted Brock like back. Maybe this was a Fox thing. Maybe.
I would think Fox. Ratings.
Yeah. I mean, and with Rampage and with CM Punk, is it the AEW effect? I think so, in my opinion, with CM Punk. Rampage not long ago, and watching CM Punk back, very, very happy to see him back. First time back in 7 years. But with Lesnar, this could be the AEW effect, I think, in my honest opinion, folks, ladies and gentlemen. And with Lesnar back, maybe in Fox may not want Rampage to really like. I mean, competition
even be competitive,
but maybe Fox wants to get on Vince. It's like, hey Vince, Punk is gonna bring in a bunch of viewers for Rampage from not like the second Rampage episode in United Center Chicago. Vince, I think we should bring back some big name or bring someone like back like Brock or do something So because
Good.
Vince, you can't be lazy, and I think Fox is telling Vince what to do.
I mean, I think competition's good. I think, and like, especially in pro wrestling, like Vince has had a monopoly on the market for so long that now he kind of has to act. That pop against CM Punk, I mean, you had to hear it. Everyone was talking about it. It's on ESPN.
Yeah. And
they had AEW on ESPN.
4 million views now. 4 million views. Yeah, but some people say CM Punk's not. But though some people are saying that CM Punk's not a draw. Yeah, sure, he's not.
No, who says that?
What trolls on Twitter? What happens when Dynamite eventually beats Raw in the ratings?
I believe it. He is a draw. He is more than a draw at this point.
I think, but eventually they're gonna. And Punk is a guy that's gonna move the needle. And you talk about people making a universal difference in any pro wrestling company in general. There's two names: CM Punk and Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, and I think that's why WWE definitely had to go.
Doing now isn't working. Maybe Fox was like, "Hey Vince, with second Rampage episode and Punk back, things need to be. You got to do something different here on SmackDown here, Vince. Like, do something, or probably bring in Lesnar because just like Punk, he's ratings draw like Punk is. So, would not be shocked if Fox is in Vince's ear.
I would definitely think they are, especially even that it's not even just Punk, like John Moxley over there's a good star.
And Fox are no bullshit. They're not gonna be there like just not caring, just giving up. They're not like they're not like that. It's a big company thing with Fox.
It's on 5. I mean, it's on ESPN. I mean, they're battling with like ESPN. They needed ratings. They need ratings.
For SmackDown on Fox. And Fox wanted Lesnar on SmackDown in 2019. Then he left back for Raw.
Yep. I think he definitely stays on SmackDown. So it's Roman Reigns, it's on Fox. It makes the most sense. And SmackDown is the one that's worth watching.
They get.
What
Fox wants, they get.
Oh, yeah. They have the money to pay him.
Standpoint, they probably want Lesnar.
They would have to especially with the CM Punk thing that you just stated.
You think Fox watch CM Punk return? Absolutely. You're damn right. I'd believe it. They probably watch Punk's return and happy to see him back, but not only that, but they watch it's like Vince, did you watch that? If you didn't, I'm telling you right now, Vince, you can't ignore that.
I think he might. I think the AEW room
Lesnar and all winning a championship is going right back to square one. But this is a good thing because of the Roman Tribal Chief storyline, and just like Punk, Lesnar's a draw in wrestling, and it's like you can't get bigger than that. I
think Reigns and Lesnar is going to be good. I think AEW being a real threat is fun. I think having another billionaire in the room is fun. It makes everything fun.
And honestly, people think and then you get the trolls on Twitter. It's like people think, oh, you want AEW to kill WWE, you want WWE to die, you want them to close up shop and go out of business. You don't want both companies to do well. You want to bash WWE constantly. If you don't like it, don't watch it. All that same lame, typical weak counter arguments bullshit. It's like, you think I want to come on here, especially on Mondays, every single time and just complain? No.
Just go
be positive out, especially Mondays. But it's like, you have to get the trolls. You complain all the time, yet you still watch. It's like, dude, I have every single right to want to see both companies do well. I want to see both companies do well.
Do you think I want?
And when there's no competition, WWE's lazy. But when there's competition, it's like, and it's like, look at WCW back in the 90s and AEW in like 2019 / the 2020s. Like, WCW legit wanted to put WWE out of business.
Yeah,
AEW doesn't want to kill it. The AEW doesn't want to do that. They just want more wrestling.
They have a 10 o'clock. That 10 o'clock slot is interesting. I wonder how that could work. I think it could work.
Like, look at WCW in the mid 90s when Scott Hall and Kevin Nash came in. That almost put WWE out of business. That almost made them close up shop. CM Punk coming in, possibly Daniel Bryan, no. And WWE is making all this money. They're making more money than ever now. They're not going out of business.
No, they also still got stars. I mean, even though they make
terrible creative, though, it's like Vince either needs to change or just step down.
He needs to go. It's old news.
Yeah, but anyways, we might as well get started here with AW, not AW, SummerSlam. Oh, wish it was AEW Rampage. AEW right now, in my opinion, but SummerSlam review for SummerSlam 2021. We'll get started right now, ladies and gentlemen. But before we get started, first things first, I would love for you to hit the like button on the video, subscribe button,
the like button.
Subscribe to the Furious Nation YouTube channel on YouTube. Yeah, I see you, Matt, clicking there, guy. But yeah, make sure you hit the like on the video, hit the subscribe to Furious Nation YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. It would be greatly appreciated, as I'd love to hit at least 60 subscribers, at least 70 by the end of this year. So it'd be greatly appreciated if you hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell for all notifications so you're notified, and follow me on the Twitter sticks at FioriNick579 over on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram at Nicholas Fiore 2014, and follow me on Facebook at Nicholas Fiore 31. You can add me as a friend on Facebook if you like, not required, but the option's always there for you guys. Matt, where can we follow you on social media wise?
Yo, you just follow me at Matt Doherty75 on Twitter, but most importantly, follow GoTalk0 on Twitter. That's really all I care about. It's Twitter's. All right.
And of course, this guy has a podcast of his own. Highly recommend checking out his podcast. Matt, the podcast.
Yep. GoTalk0 on Twitter. Just click the link in the bio. It's all right there. Easy click. No, not hard. Not hard to find.
Highly recommend checking out this guy. He's pretty good over there.
Not as good as you. Try and get up there.
Yes, absolutely, with podcasting and all. All right. So let's start here. We're not going to talk real long with this kickoff shit. It was the kickoff show, Big E versus Baron Corbin. They had Baron Corbin steal Big E's briefcase on SmackDown not long ago. They're having the storyline with Baron Corbin being broke and all, and poor man's Corbin. But I want to say this. I'm being honest. I want to like this with Baron Corbin. I do.
You do?
Anything's better than that King gimmick. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay, yeah, that's true.
I just don't trust WWE whatsoever, Matt, because the rumors reports they're going to do a King of the Ring for the men and for the women in October at the Saudi Arabia show in Crown Jewel, which they actually announced during the show at SummerSlam tonight. So yeah, it's like this Corbin. It's like, are they doing the storyline just to have Corbin be in the King of the Ring tournament and win the crown again? And then if they do that, like, what's the point of even doing what they're doing with Corbin right now? It's either bring him back as the lone wolf or bust at this point. So I want to like it, but I don't know what they're gonna do. Knowing this company, like, I don't put it past them to fuck it up. I hope I'm wrong, but
they're gonna fuck it up.
That's just my.
They don't know.
What do you think?
I don't think they have anything. They have no idea what to do with Corbin right now. What is this? These last two gimmicks have been terrible.
And like a dress shirt, all buttoned, like unbuttoned, and
he stole Big E's briefcase, and Big E had to get it back. Like, he battled Kevin Owens for like $1,000.
Lost clean to Owens.
Yeah.
But
you gotta win.
We had this match here, Big E and Baron Corbin on the kickoff of SummerSlam. We had Corbin. He slowly gives the Money in the Bank briefcase to the ref as the bell rung. Big E then is all over Corbin. Corbin floors Big E with a shoulder tackle. Corbin then hits the ropes and Big E leapfrogs over Baron Corbin. Big E then catches Corbin and hits a belly-to-belly suplex. Big E then goes for his apron splash, and he misses. Corbin then sends Big E right into the steel ring post. then the referee is counting and Big E's almost counted out. He makes a 10 count. Corbin then sends Big E into the post 3 more times. Corbin then screams about it being his brief. And then Corbin gets frustrated and all. Then a sidewalk slam from Baron Corbin. Big E kicks out near fall. Choke slam attempt by Corbin, but Big E escapes it and locks Corbin in the stretch muffler. Corbin attempts to escape. Big E then runs right into a deep six, which one of my favorite moves is the deep six. I mean, Corbin, boring, but with how he's booked with the King gimmick. And then, I mean, in this current one, I want to like it, but I hope he doesn't go back to the King Corbin again. He should be as the lone wolf again with Baron Corbin, if I'm being honest with you guys. But, man, I will say, deep six, one of my favorite moves outside of the end of days in the Black Mass.
That's my point, though. Corbin has so much,
cool moves,
a lot more potential.
Exactly. For a big guy, he does some cool moves with a deep six and the end of days, man.
He's NFL athletic.
Yeah, former Golden Gloves champion.
I didn't know that too. Oh, so this guy's athletic.
Exactly.
And they use him like for a jobber on the opening kickoff.
Yeah. So then Big E gets hit with deep six. He kicks out. Corbin then tries to escape with the Money in the Bank briefcase, but Big E pounces him right into the barricade. Big E then spears Corbin off the apron, that middle through the rope spear that Big E does. Big E then sends Corbin back in the ring. Big E pulls down the straps, calls for the big ending. Corbin stumbles to his feet, and then he walks right into the big ending. 1, 2, 3. Big E pins Baron Corbin. Big E wins this match. Then after this match, Big E then reclaims the Money in the Bank briefcase and then just walks up the ramp. Quick thoughts on this.
I like that I like that they're pushing Big E. I'm down with it. I feel like he deserves a push. I feel like they had to give him a match at SummerSlam, so they just made up this Corbin thing just to give him one. So I'm glad they didn't mess it up with Big E, but the whole like him stealing the Money in the Bank thing and like Corbin being like a poor man on the side of the road kind of annoys me. I feel like the WWE pays him a little bit.
And with the recent cuts, and it's like and if they do a storyline with Corbin released, but he's really not, like, that's just low taste. That they should not do that.
No.
People foolishly got cut, by the way, and for budget cuts, quote unquote.
I think they should just bring him back into like, a solid heel, like not just like, I feel like him and like Drew McIntyre got the same thing going on in like a way of like they have nothing else to do with them.
Yeah, and honestly, if there's a draft in the fall, I would move McIntyre over to SmackDown. But I mean, with Corbin, he would make Raw worse. But Corbin's literally done everything on SmackDown.
That's exactly, yeah.
Fox in 2019, he's literally done everything there. There's nothing left for him to do.
There's nothing else to do with them. That's why maybe you just swap them both.
Yeah,
just
at that point. But yeah, I mean that could happen, but who knows? But
Big E is though.
Baron Corbin, I just miss him as the lone wolf.
Yeah, I think you make him the lone wolf. I don't know what they're gonna do with him after. Cut his hair again. I gotta get rid of his hair.
No, he had long hair when he was a lone wolf.
I think Baron Corbin's hair days are behind him, don't you think?
Well, I mean, Corbin does a good job at playing up to the gimmicks, but I mean, again, like I said, I want to like what he's doing with the current gimmick now, but I mean, though anything is better than the King gimmick, I will have to say, because that King gimmick was awful.
Yeah.
It was just go away, change the channel, get off my TV worthy. Legitimately, but I want to like it, but I don't know what they're gonna do, but we'll see what happens. But Big E wins this match against Baron Corbin. I kind of figured they'd probably put this match on the show, whether it's the kickoff or the main show, but I honestly think should have been the main show. Even Marie and Lex Bliss should have been on the kickoff and not this match. But Big E wins as he should. Do you see him holding on to the briefcase longer, or do you see him cashing in, or do you see him cashing in next year?
I was actually like thinking about that. Like, I wonder how they're gonna push Big E here because on that one SmackDown, they had him stand outside Roman's locker room, and he was like saying like, "Oh, like I have this." Like, do they do they maybe have Big E cash in and have him lose?
No,
And
no,
right?
you're not gonna do that. No.
So how long do you think he holds it? For like a couple, like 8-9 months? Like, do you think he goes past WrestleMania with it?
Yeah, I mean,
I think he might.
I would honestly have him hold it till WrestleMania. Have it hold it, have him hold it long, make it exciting, or have him tease a cash in during that time frame.
Do you think you just Seth Rollins him and have him cash in at WrestleMania?
I don't know about that. Probably not, but at least have him hold the briefcase for a while. Have him tease the cash in like Seth did, like Edge did back in 2005 and 2006 and like 2014, 15. Have him tease the cash in. Have him hold it. Have them hold the briefcase for a while. I think like just make it fun, make it exciting.
I think they should have
do that because Vince McMahon doesn't like fun, but it's like but at least make it exciting. Make it exciting with the briefcase, and we haven't seen it in a while with the briefcase for God knows how long.
I think he should hold it. I think they should have Reigns be built up, and then after WrestleMania have Big E cash at some time. But
who do you have him cash in on, the WWE Championship or the Universal Championship?
I think he should cash in on Bobby Lashley, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Oh, but why not Roman Reigns, man?
Shut up.
Roman.
Why would I take
levels sooner than you think? He shouldn't. He shouldn't be losing right now at all. And there's no one at Roman's level now. When you have someone along the way that's close enough to Roman's level or higher than his level, then that's when you can take the title off Roman. If not, he should have a title reign like current NXT UK champion Walter.
I think Big E against Bobby Lashley fun.
Who was the NXT UK Women's Champion a while ago.
I think Big E against Bobby Lashley could be fun.
Yeah, I mean,
it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, didn't Lashley beat up Kofi and Woods going into Money in the Bank, and all just constantly just destroying them, and they're Big E's friends? Wouldn't Big E want revenge on Lashley for like what he did to his friends Kofi and Woods? It makes sense storyline wise. It makes sense.
And then you have this whole thing with Bobby Lashley right now, where he's such a heel, like he just out here clotheslining children, and then you have like Happy New Day, like yay, like it makes sense.
Yeah, and Raw needs all the help they can get because Raw is like just what Raw's doing now. The star power they have, they could use. Like they need Raw needs some like a new freshest arm shot of adrenaline. Raw needs that desperately. I know nothing will change Raw as long as Vince is there, but it's but Raw needs all the help they can get at this point. What they're like Lashley McIntyre again? No. McIntyre's done everything there is to do on Raw. Lashley and Riddle, you could do that, but it's too soon.
You could.
You could. No, you killed him. Well, I wouldn't say killed, but he's buried on Raw.
Yeah,
Jeff Hardy. No. We're gonna have him winning. Feuding with Karrion Kross. Looks like. It's their fault for not having anyone built up for Lashley. It's their fault.
Would you do a draft and send Cena over to Raw?
Biggie to Raw if there's a draft this fall. Send Biggie over to Monday Night Raw. Yes, I would.
I think him against Bobby.
And just because Kofi Woods, I think they could stay on Raw too. And just because all three New Day members are all back on Raw, just because of that doesn't mean you can put Biggie back in the New Day. You could still have all three New Day members on Raw, but have Big E still on his own. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
just show the cross promo on the screen.
Help they can get, and and I think they were going to do Aleister Black and Big E feuding on SmackDown. Then Aleister Black got foolishly released when he was going to feud with Big E. Then they released him. Like, for what?
Well, they're
No reason.
well, they're releasing guys that it makes no sense when they have a show like Raw, like releasing like Bray Wyatt, and you have a show like Raw. Like, you couldn't do nothing with him on Raw.
Black, Ruby Riott, Buddy Murphy, it's like, why? It's like, you release them, like, why? For what? Release them for no reason.
I guess
what budget cuts at Nick Khan's mansion.
Yeah, that's basically just give him AEW.
Yeah, it's like, why? It's like, why do it? And it made no sense when he was gonna feud with Big E on SmackDown. Then you fire him. Like, what the fuck? That makes no sense. Now he's Malachi Black in AEW.
But the only thing good going on Raw right now, though.
Yes,
RK Bro.
Talk about that next. But Big E beats Corbin. Okay, but I'm glad that Big E won. But then we get to the main show. Speaking of which, we're gonna talk about right now. The first match, main show. Raw Tag Team Championship match. AJ Styles and Omos defending the Raw Tag Team Championships against Randy Orton and Matt Riddle of RK Bro. You had Matt Riddle down to the ring with the scooter and all that other stuff. You have Randy Orton with the mustache thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And AJ Styles and Omos making their entrance. I will say, though, the stage looked really nice. I did
awesome.
Like the stage, I do have to say, for SummerSlam this year. The stage almost looked like a Royal Rumble 2019 and 2020 like set, if you ask me.
I like the long ramp. I'm always a big fan of the long ramp. I remember the Royal Rumble one year had that short ramp. I hate that. The year John Cena came.
I think like Royal Rumble 2008-ish.
Yeah.
I
hate that thing was so stupid.
It was. But it kind of gave me vibes of Royal Rumble 2019 and 2020 with the arena set when they were in a baseball stadium. It looked really good. I do have to give them that. WWE is shit creative. It is. But when it comes to presentation, I do have to admit they do nail it on that.
Their camera work is insane.
With promo packages, with vignettes and video production and presentation with stages.
Oh yeah, everything. Their camera work is crazy.
If only if they had better creative. If they had better creative, I wouldn't be complaining as much.
They're really lacking in that part. The important part.
Yeah. Maybe doing good business wise, but quality of television is not good right now at all.
RK Bro.
But yeah, RK Bro. A Raw Tag Team title match, AJ Styles and Omos versus RK Bro for the Raw Tag Team titles. Orton and Styles started this match. They trade punches. Orton suplexes Styles. Orton then flips Riddle in the air for a mini floating bro, which looked nice. Omos then gets tagged in. He then starts to club on the back of Matt Riddle. Omos then body slams Riddle, and Riddle's trying to choke Omos out, but he gets slammed back first by Omos. Greco-Roman knuckle lock by Omos. Then he lifts Riddle in the air. Riddle then turns it into a rear naked choke. Omos slams Riddle into the ring post. Styles then tags in, and Omos launches him into a tornado DDT tag team combo onto Riddle. Then Styles then starts to work over Matt Riddle. Riddle then this match then almost makes it to Orton to make the tag, but Styles cut him off. Riddle then knees Styles in the face. Riddle then eventually tags in Randy Orton. Orton's on fire. He clears the ring. He knocks Omos off the apron. There was one spot in the match where I think it was like Riddle did some kind of knee strike, and Omos nearly fell off the apron, like fingertips on the apron. I think when he tried to AJ moved out of the way, then he hit Omos with the knee, and Omos was like hanging on the apron like here. So they had that spot. Orton then is in the ring. He clears the ring. Orton and Styles with legal men in the ring. Orton knocks Omos off the apron. Orton lands a Orton does this Orton comeback like signature Orton snap scoop slam.
Yeah.
Orton snap scoop slam. Orton then does his Hangman's rope hung DDT. Orton hits a Hangman's DDT. Orton's then calling for the patented RKO. Omos then pulls Styles out of the ring. Riddle then tries to get involved, but Omos chokeslams him on the apron, which looked nasty.
Bar drop.
Riddle then, right on the outside apron. Riddle then manages to send Omos into the ring post. And then it sends Omos into the ring post. Styles then is on the apron. He does like a moonsault flip into a inverted DDT onto Matt Riddle on the outside of the ring. That looked nasty.
Oh my god!
Styles hits a diving reverse DDT off the apron onto Riddle. I have to say, man, AJ at 44, 45, he can still go like he's 25 to 30, man.
Yeah,
almost 45. It amazes me how he can still go like he's 20 to 30.
They say he's one of the best workers, so I believe it.
In the world.
He's really good. You can see why Undertaker,
man, like it's like at this point, it's at this point, like doesn't matter how old you are, if you can still go. I don't care how old you are. Like AJ's a perfect example that he's almost 45 and he's still going to the ring like he's 20 to 30, and it really amazes me what he can still do at his age. It's amazing. It's great to see.
I mean, him and Randy Orton. Well,
yeah,
what happened?
Yeah, in WrestleMania 35, which they fought at Mania 35, by the way.
And they're both, they both are in there. I mean, Matt Riddle's
Orton's 42. He can still go in the ring.
Matt Riddle's 35, which is hard to believe, but yeah, he's 35.
He doesn't even. He's 35.
Matt Riddle's like 35.
Really, 35.
Yeah, he used to be a UFC fighter.
Yeah. Before he transitioned into professional wrestling, worked the Indies and signed with WWE and NXT in 2018. Yep, 35 years old. He don't even look the age at all.
No, not at all.
Crazy.
That's what I'm telling you, man. It's crazy.
Age is just a number nowadays in wrestling, folks. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. So then, after a series of reversals, Orton then drops Styles with an RKO for the win, and the winners and the new Raw Tag Team Champions, RK Bro of Matt Riddle and Randy Orton. Quick and sweet. I wish it would have went a little bit longer, in my opinion, but this is the right outcome. And it was in Matt Riddle's hometown of Las Vegas, Nevada. You had to pull the trigger on this tonight. RK Bro reminds me a lot of the Broserweights, Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle, when they were in early 2020 NXT.
I just love the whole gimmick of like the Randy Orton, this vicious guy, and then Matt Riddle.
Matt Riddle's like happy-go-lucky, funny guy, but he's also some seriousness, like hard-hitting in the ring as Matt Riddle. No push-up.
Good. He's insanely tough.
And you have Orton as this Viper, and it's like, can they trust each other? And it is an oddball pairing, I have to admit. It's an oddball pairing, but it works.
It works. I think it's great. I think it's the only thing good going on Raw.
I agree. If RK Bro was not a thing on Raw, I don't know where Raw would be.
No one. I mean, that's the only thing. Like, even like the Bobby Lashley, like Goldberg. That's hard to watch. Like the RK Bro thing is what I'm here for.
Yeah, and Matt Riddle, I have to say, he is so good, man. If he is not a WWE or Universal Champion by the end of 2022, somebody in WWE creative needs to be immediately terminated. And I was thinking about this watching the show tonight.
He's great.
He is.
I love Matt.
He is. No reason why he can't be a world champion by the end of next year. There's no excuse.
Especially with the WWE Championship, like I don't see it as like Bobby Lashley's gonna have a Roman Reigns run. I don't see that happening.
Not at all. He's not a long term, and he's not a draw. Oh, but he was booked perfectly in 2020 last year with the Hurt Business, man. Just because he was booked perfectly last year in 2020 with MVP and the Hurt Business and Cedric and Shelton last year in 2020, that doesn't mean that Lashley's a draw, because he's not. If he was, Raw would be above 2 million viewers at least. And that's not the case.
No one's watching nothing for Bobby Lashley.
Just look at the Raw ratings from Raw last Monday. They're still below 2 million viewers. It's pathetic. It's pathetic, man.
Raw stinks.
It does. But happy for RK Bro. This was the right decision. They were my pick to win this match and all. This was the right outcome. AJ Styles and Omos, I don't know where they go from here. Maybe Omos could go back to a bodyguard for AJ Styles, but I honestly think, and John and I talked about this on the SummerSlam preview predictions the other day and all, AJ Styles, like, with Omos, I feel like AJ should be on his own. I feel like ever since he moved to Raw in the draft last October, AJ Styles hasn't really felt like AJ Styles, like from 2016 when he was on SmackDown as the WWE champion. Like, it's like, and the pairing with AJ and Omos makes no sense. Like when Gallows and Anderson, they got released in April of 2020 with the Black Wednesday with 2020 with the COVID-19 pandemic with budget cuts, and they got cut. And AJ with Gallows and Anderson, that makes sense. They have history. AJ Styles and Omos have no history, and they have nothing in common. And the pairing makes no sense. And they didn't, and they paired late last year. No explanation as to why they're paired together, and the pairing just makes absolutely no sense. And I feel like with AJ with Omos, AJ has not been the same since he's been paired with Omos, in my honest opinion. And AJ and Omos, I really feel like they should break them up and have AJ just be on his own again. And just like with McIntyre and all, if a draft happens this fall, one of the guys that moved to SmackDown is AJ Styles. Could you imagine AJ Styles on SmackDown feuding with somebody like a Roman or a Balor or Nakamura or Cesaro?
Him and Balor would be. I feel like AJ and Balor would be great.
And remember, they had that really good match at TLC 2017, a very underrated match. I only fought once there. Would not mind seeing that again.
You could use him with Cesaro if you're still trying to push Cesaro as the best wrestlers and ever won a world championship.
Yeah, or you could have AJ and Cesaro over the IC title or whatever. AJ Nakamura, the IC title with what Nakamura's doing now with Rick Boogs, which I'm really liking.
It's fun. That one's fun.
Yeah, you could do AJ Roman. They have history from 2016. Very, very underrated matches from 2016 Payback and Extreme Rules.
Could you do AJ Roman Brock in a triple threat? Like Extreme Rules or something like that?
Okay, I don't know, but I mean, could be. I don't know. I mean, that would something like be good, but you gotta have it make sense. But I mean, AJ on SmackDown, man. If there's a move in there, I feel like he's not been the same ever since moving to Raw last October and with the pairing with Omos, and I feel like they Omos and AJ, and I don't even consider them a tag team.
I thought it was a bold storyline, and he was like training Omos, that he was a security guard. Like it was stupid.
Omos,
it seems like
Omos is very green. He has a long way to go, and I feel like he's hit his ceiling.
Just a big man they're trying to push, man.
He's like typical Great Khali.
At least Great Khali. Hey, Great Khali had a singles match WWE Championship.
What? Former world heavyweight champion, one of the worst world champions. Huh?
Yeah, ever. But hey.
Oh God, don't even bring it up from 07. Oh God, that was terrible.
Hey, it happened.
Yeah, but this was a good match. Quick, short and sweet. Right outcome. I wish the match would have been a little bit longer, and I felt like the match could have gone a little bit longer, honestly, Matt. But this was the right decision. I'm happy RK Bro win. I'm happy that RK Bro won. AJ Styles and Omos, I'd probably break them up and have AJ be by himself again. But I don't know who you have challenge RK Bro next. T-Bar and Mace. Like, there's not a whole lot of tag teams on Raw. There's no tag division on Raw. So I don't know who you have them. So I don't know who you have RK Bro face, but
maybe
there's no tag teams on Raw.
There's not.
Mustafa Ali and Mansoor, though they could be the ones to take the titles of RK Bro. Then with the breakup of RK Bro, they could do that. They play the cards right.
They won't though.
Nah, I don't trust Raw at all to do the right thing whatsoever. But RK Bro win the Raw Tag Team titles. Next match, Eva Marie with I'm not saying Doudrop, Piper Niven versus Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
What do you want me to say? This match sucked. I'm not even talking much about this match whatsoever. Eva Marie sucks. Eva Marie sucks. You release Ruby Riott. You release Peyton Royce. You release Billie Kay and Mickie James and Chelsea Green, and you bring back Eva Marie.
Yeah.
Disgrace. This
and they're pushing her.
Abomination of a wrestler. She's not even a wrestler. She's a cosplay wrestler. The woman is legit afraid to take a bump. Like, did you see one spot in the match where she is going headfirst in the middle turnbuckle and how she sold that? Like, you fire Ruby Riott and you bring back Eva Marie, and the match was trash. One of the worst women's matches, one of the worst SummerSlam matches in my opinion of all time. This match was absolutely terrible. I could hear people going to the bathroom watching. I could hear people taking a piss break during this match.
It is a good piss break match, though. Are you sticking around for that? I don't think you stuck around for that.
I actually wanted to time it because of how long the match would be and how many botches, but we had some botches. Eva Marie is afraid to take a bump. Alexa Bliss is not a good wrestler either. Then we had, and it's like you have and then you had one spot. Alexa's on the apron, back turned. Eva's like trying to get up. She could have went to the apron, pulled Alexa off, rolled her up. Eva just stands there like a bimbo, like like just stupid. Like, the match sucked. And then Alexa wins with a DDT. 1, 2, 3. I don't even care. Then they had after this match Piper Niven. Then say the loser of this match is Eva Marie. Are they breaking up Piper Niven and Eva Marie? I hope so. Get Piper away from Eva. Please. Please. This is doing nothing for Piper Niven. It's just holding her down. Get her away from Eva and send her back to NXT UK. You pulled her from NXT UK way too quickly. Way too quickly. This is the best job for Piper Niven. Send her back to NXT UK. That's all I got to say on that. Alexa Bliss beats Eva Marie. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
And we go backstage.
Over there.
Apparently, RK Bro was interviewed with Mario Lopez. Orton says usually means what he says, and he said RK Bro is back. Orton then finally says the words RK Bro. Orton then walks off, riddled, and tells Lopez that he has a surprise for Orton on Monday night. What that surprise is, I don't know, but you know what surprise I'd like on Monday? A good show by Bruce and Vince. I doubt it, but only one can dream.
Yeah, yeah. I think Raw's over. I think you're hopeful.
Yeah. So then the next match, U.S. title match, Sheamus versus Damian Priest.
They did the right thing here.
What?
I think they did the right thing here.
Yeah, I agree. Though I feel bad for these two because they had to follow Eva Marie and Alexa Bliss. I felt bad for them. It's like, and you have a legit worker, Damian Priest. You have them they have to follow Bliss and Eva. Like, how do you not feel bad for them at this point? I feel
they're also like
too, but Damian Priest, man, I have to say his outfit looked good tonight.
I feel like he's I don't know how I feel about him. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, this match was pretty good though. One of the good matches of tonight, in my opinion. They had Priest like really get his ass kicked during this match, and Priest was like really getting bruised in this match, and then Priest is then just fights back and wins U.S. title. That man, like a beast, Damian Priest. Yeah, hell yeah. This match was good, decent. Sheamus is very hard hitting. Irish curse backbreakers and all. You had Damian Priest, I think, tried to do a springboard kick. Sheamus midair bro kick knee, and I legit thought that was it. 1, 2, and Damian Priest just gets the right shoulder up, and I legit thought Sheamus was going to win clean there, and that apparently was not the case. Then there was one spot Sheamus did some leg lock like an Achilles tendon leg lock that Daniel Bryan used to do in 2018. Now that I've never seen Sheamus do. Sheamus pulling out some new moves, which I appreciate.
Bringing it out of the bag.
They definitely appreciate, man. And I like Sheamus, man. He definitely a very underrated worker, if you ask. Definitely a very underrated worker, if you ask me. Then Sheamus has Damian Priest in the leg lock. Priest then rips off the face mask of Sheamus. And then the Reckoning, 1, 2, 3. Damian Priest is your new U.S. champion. I thought the match was good. One of the good matches of tonight. Quick thoughts on this.
I think they did the right thing with Priest. I think Sheamus is U.S. champion. Is he had his run. Then you can approach Priest now and maybe give someone another rivalry because you have all these superstars you have nothing to do with.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and Sheamus didn't really do anything with the U.S. title. He fought like Humberto Carrillo, a loser on Monday Night Raw, Ricochet, Mansoor. He didn't really do anything with that U.S. title. And Damian Priest winning this match was the right outcome because if he didn't win, what else do you do with him on Raw? You'd just be sitting and catering on Raw. It's giving him, at least with him as the U.S. champ, it gives him something to do. Now, do I trust Raw Creative to book Damian Priest right as U.S. champion? No. But hell, it's much better than him sitting and catering on Raw, making good nachos with extra sour cream for Titus O'Neil there. But yeah. But I mean, I'd love to see Ricochet and Damian Priest could be good, but though it's like Damian Priest. He's fought Miz and Morrison since the Rumble, correct? Don't be surprised if they have Priest fight Miz and Morrison over the U.S. title again.
Yeah.
God, I hope not.
They will.
I hope.
What are they going to do with the Miz?
Knowing Monday Night Raw would not put it past them. Oh, but it's for the U.S. title, man. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's over with those three. Those three have fought for 7 months.
They're going to do it. They might do it till Mania. They might run it back.
God, I hope not. Oh, they do that. Oh, my God. But this was the right outcome, just like RK Bro. Damian Priest, first main roster title. And actually around this year, and actually also, little fun fact, he won the NXT North America title around this time last year at TakeOver 30. So a former North American champion, then around the very next year, he was the US champ. So that's a little fun fact and little good there for Damian Priest, and happy for him. And for a big man, watching him as Punishment Martinez in 2018 a Ring of Honor 3 years ago, he's come a very long way. For a big guy, he's very good. He's not your typical big man. He does like stuff like a Rey Mysterio with springboards and such. You gotta appreciate it. It's not something you see very often. And for a big man flying and stuff, how do you not appreciate the guy? But
I think he's great. I think he's good.
Definitely.
I think the next
and when the time is right, he could really be a WWE champion when the time is right. I don't think right now, but eventually later on, yes.
Yeah, okay. Not I was about to say not now, but later.
No, it's too soon now. Way too soon. But or maybe he could be the one to take down Lashley when the time's right. If Lashley's still a champ by the time. I doubt it, but
yeah, they won't have Lashley. I don't think they have Lashley more than you think. I don't think he could last to WrestleMania as champ.
No, not at all. And then we go backstage. Rey Mysterio, he hypes up Dominic, his son, for their upcoming SmackDown Tag Team title match. And then we get the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match, the Usos versus the Mysterios of Rey and Dominic Mysterio. I want to say something real quick on this, Matt. I like the Usos and I like the Mysterios. I do. And it's not hating, but it's hard to really care when we've seen, like, before SummerSlam on SmackDown episodes, Jey Uso versus Rey, Jey versus Dominic, Jimmy versus Dominic, Jimmy versus Rey. It's hard to care about the match at SummerSlam when we've seen those kinds of matches, with singles matches, going into tonight.
Yeah, you kind of already seen it.
It's lazy booking. It's lazy booking. And I don't like that. There are much better ways to come up with. There are much better ways to come up with shit, like with good shit than that. Much better ways than that. Have like the Mysterios interviewed at their home or something. Sit down interview, like a split screen thing, like a sit down interview with no crowd, with both teams.
I think I like that they had the Usos win, but the Rey Mysterio and Dominic, I feel like it's run its course. I just feel like because they had the Jimmy Usos, they fought every week. They had Dominic lose the matches and everything. Rey, come and save the day, show he's more aware than Dominic in the ring. Have Dominic be like confused. Like I feel like they're kind of just setting it up for a split.
Yeah, that's the other thing. They've been teasing Dominic Mysterio possibly splitting from Rey and possibly turning heel on his father. Rey is never going to turn, but maybe Dominic will. Does Dominic turn on Rey? Probably, but I don't know how wise that is, but we'll have to see. But I will say though, and the Mysterios lost clean tonight. I hope this is it between the two teams, man. And honestly, and Jimmy Uso about a while ago got a DUI. I think it was a mistake to give the Usos the tag titles a month ago at Money in the Bank. I think it should have been Otis and Chad Gable beating the Mysterios for those SmackDown tag team titles. And I felt like, and Usos winning was the right call tonight. Don't get me wrong, but then it's like if you have the Mysterios win, why'd you give the Usos the titles a month ago at Money in the Bank? But Usos should have lost at Money in the Bank with that because of that Jimmy Uso DUI thing. But I know why they gave him still the SmackDown tag team titles is because they still want to do this thing with Roman Reigns storyline with the Rock, with Dwayne Johnson at WrestleMania next year in Dallas.
Yeah, they want to have a whole they all have the championships and they phase the right. Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. But I mean, this was a decent match. Don't get me wrong. I like both of these teams, but it's just hard to care when it's not been that good of a build going into the match at SummerSlam tonight. That's an issue. Big issue.
We think just the middle of
in this match. We had a double super kick combo to this Temple of Rey. Rey gets pinned after a Uso splash. 1, 2, 3 Usos retain. There was one spot where one of the Usos had a Uso splash and they almost won, but Rey just kicked out and all, but Usos retain here. Where do you think both teams go from here?
I think the Usos only go up as Roman goes up, and I think that we got Rey and Dominic splitting up soon, and they're going to set that up for like a Survivor Series matchup.
Yeah, I mean,
or Royal Rumble.
Them up, but it's like but then it's like if you break them up, who else do you have as a tag teams? You need tag teams.
That's also a thing. I mean, I think they're doing nothing with Dolph Ziggler and Rude. I feel like they're doing nothing with Ziggler and Rude. I feel like Rude and Ziggler could be done with a lot more. I feel like they could be fun.
Yeah, haven't been on TV weeks. They've done nothing with them.
Nothing. Rude, especially.
I haven't even been on TV for at least a few weeks, and it's like they're sitting in catering, legitimately.
I mean, and they're not bad.
No, they're not.
Yeah, Dominic and Rey, running like
if they're booked properly, and if they're getting behind, and if getting behind properly with them, they're really not that bad of a tag team. They're really not, but they're sitting in catering, doing absolutely nothing.
I think they'll probably have Usos. Go. Who do you think? I think the Rey and Dominic thing's over.
There's Otis and Gable. There's Street Profits.
I think maybe the Street Profits they'll have them maybe go with, or Otis. I think Otis and Gable's next.
Maybe the War Raiders.
Maybe we got to send one of these tag teams over to Raw.
Yeah, or I just merged the tag team divisions because there's not a lot of tag teams on both shows, especially on Raw. Raw, at least SmackDown has some. Raw, there's no teams, none.
No, next question after they're going to split up AJ and Omos, I would think.
Yeah, I believe I would break them up too because AJ should be on his own. A guy like AJ, one of the best in the world, he should be on his own. He doesn't need a tag team at all. And you got Mustafa Ali and Mansoor, but I mean, it's interesting team, but it's also a makeshift. T-Bar and Mace, bring T-Bar back as Dominic Dijakovic. Mace, put him back in the Performance Center because he's not ready. And it's like, Lucha House Party, they're too busy making tacos and catering. Where are they? like where are they? There's legit no tag teams on Raw. None outside. There's no tag teams on Raw outside the War Raiders. The rest are makeshift on Raw. There's no teams on Raw. That's a problem.
I mean, you could definitely
just merge
combine the tag.
You don't have enough tag teams on both shows, especially on Mondays. SmackDown has some, but there's no teams on Raw. If you had if you have a shitload of teams, and I mean a shitload of teams if you had that on Raw and on SmackDown, then it's okay for two divisions. But there's not a lot of tag teams on both shows.
I mean, you could just combine the tag teams and just make the Usos so dominant and have Roman Reigns be dominant, and you could just run that into WrestleMania.
I mean, I would say don't end the brand split, but however, I would say not end the brand split, but however, if you want to do one thing, you could still have a brand split with just merge the tag teams.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what I would do.
Let's have the world tag titles.
You don't have to end the brand split. I mean, I maybe, but I would say no. But you don't have to do it, in my opinion. Just merge the tag teams. That's it. And probably the women.
No big deal.
No, you could still have a brand split, but you could still have your IC title, your US title, your World title, your WWE title, Universal title. Just merge the tag teams. And possibly the women too.
Say Universal tag teams. Just make some shit up. So it's what WWE does.
Have enough tag teams, then you can do tag division. Then you can do tag divisions. That's just my thinking, but Usos Mysterio's decent match. It's just hard to care going into it when, like I said, with the singles matches they had going into SummerSlam. Decent match though, but again, hard to care. And I hate to say that because I like the Usos and I don't know where they go from here. I would maybe Usos and Street Profits. Could be something, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. But anyways, Usos retain the SmackDown Tag Team titles. We then had after this, Rick Boogs then played Shinsuke Nakamura, plays the theme song of Shinsuke Nakamura to the ring so they could dance and celebrate with Pat McAfee. I have to hear me out. Don't get rid of Pat McAfee on SmackDown. Don't get rid of him.
Don't ever. He's the GOAT.
He is.
The GOAT, Pat McAfee.
I will say this, and I believe I talked about this with John the other day or something, Matt. I feel like with Pat McAfee, honestly, I don't know, I'm not the only one who feels this way. Yes, don't never get rid of him. He just look at the difference with Adnan Virk when he came in before he got released. Then Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee is a passionate, he is a wrestling fan. Has that excitement, that energy. Adnan Virk is not cut for a pro wrestling commentator. Then there's Jimmy Smith, and he's way better than Adnan Virk, but he's just heavily scripted on Monday Night Raw. And anything Raw touches turns to shit. And, and it just, I feel like with Pat McAfee, it's just that wrestling fan is in him. He brings that excitement, that energy. And it's when he's on that Now Stable Dancer with Rick Boogs and Nakamura, it's how do you not hate the guy? And I feel and nobody's better than Mauro Ranallo, but Pat McAfee is almost, I don't know if I'd say almost like a Mauro, but he's close to a Mauro Ronaldo. Like when it comes to like with wrestling and such and being excitement, like if you're a commentator, you want to be excited to be there watching a wrestling match, telling a story.
You know? I think Pat is the energy that WWE needs because it's now just stinks.
No better, but I'd much rather SmackDown than Raw. But at least with Pat McAfee on SmackDown, he at least is making it. I don't know if I'd say watchable, but yeah, at least is. I feel like the commentary on SmackDown is much better than Raw's.
Way better.
Got Michael Cole better than NXT. Wade Barrett is good. Beth Phoenix is good, but Vic Joseph is bad. Like all I hear this like Vic Joseph on commentary. All I hear this guy like all he says is like, oh
yeah.
Oh. Yeah. That's all. It's like.
I think
is he calling a professional wrestling one-on-one singles match, or is he doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing? It's like, oh, 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 oh.
I mean Pat McAfee and Michael Cole are a goatee combination. Like it's an all-time combination.
Yeah, not only that, but watching Pat McAfee and Michael Cole, two things about that. It kind of gives me Michael Cole and Taz vibes when they commented on SmackDown in 2002. I kind of almost get those vibes. I'm not sure if I'm the only one that feels that way, but that's just me. Also, and number two, so that's number one. Number two, Michael Cole. Listen, I shit on him for years, but honestly, he's really not that bad at commentary as long as he's not fed bullshit lines from Vince. If he's under Triple H,
as long as he's not supposed to be a bad guy. As long as he's not supposed to be a heel in it, it's fine.
Yeah. And if you let him be him, he's really not that bad of a commentator whatsoever. And I feel like ever since Pat McAfee commentated for SmackDown, Michael Cole has been a lot better. And McAfee has made him better. If I'm being honest.
I think Pat is great. I think SmackDown's got going on everything. Commentary,
whatever they do, don't get rid of Pat McAfee.
Don't do it. Someone's gonna sign.
And I honestly thought with the commentary team shakeups for Raw and SmackDown coming out of Mania this past April, I honestly thought SmackDown got shafted because Corey Graves left the SmackDown commentary, went to the Raw commentary team, and then Pat McAfee came over. I honestly thought SmackDown was shafted into that, but no. Raw's commentary team is terrible. Terrible. Byron Saxton, get rid of him. Jimmy Smith, he's heavily scripted on Raw. Corey Graves, he knows his shit, but sometimes he comes off as a shill. I mean, hell, he wanted to show for Carmella to get a SmackDown Women's title match tonight.
Yeah.
And how many times is and it's like trying to get Carmella multiple SmackDown Women's title matches for Carmella, because apparently they're dating. But anyway,
hey, gotta fight for your fight,
Yeah, but yeah, that's all I gotta say on Pat McAfee. Don't get rid of him. Don't get rid of him at all. You gotta love Pat McAfee. How could you hate on him? Same thing with Rick Boogs with Shinsuke Nakamura, man. Rick Boogs is awesome.
He's great.
He is. Don't get rid of him either. And I feel like ever since paired with Rick Boogs, Nakamura just has a new lease on life.
I think it's great. I think it's a good gimmick.
Yeah.
SmackDown's got going on.
Yeah. I mean, it's no better, but I'd much rather SmackDown than Raw. At this point, Raw's the worst show on television. But anyways, we then get the SmackDown Women's title match. Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. And then they announced Sasha's not able to compete.
Squash.
Hopefully it's not COVID related. Sasha was pulled from recent WWE house shows recently. Could be COVID related, which I hope is not. And hopefully Sasha's okay and back 100%. So Sasha's not able to compete. Carmella is then announced as Belair's opponent. The crowd then chants for Banks. Belair then looks very annoyed. She then grabs a mic and says she will get her hands on Banks, but she is going to take her frustration out on Carmella. Becky Lynch's music then hits. The crowd goes crazy. Lynch then struts her way down to the ring. Belair's then bouncing around in the ring. Excited. Carmella then looks annoyed. Lynch then tosses Carmella out of the ring. Lynch then tells Belair she'll be right back. Lynch then sends Carmella into the ring steps. Lynch gets back in the ring and steps to Belair. Lynch then asks for a mic. Then Lynch challenges Belair to a title match. Belair agrees. And then Lynch asks for a handshake. Then Lynch cheap shots Belair and hits the manhandle slam for the quick win. Winner, new SmackDown Women's Champion, Becky Lynch.
Man.
Look, I want to be honest with you, Matt, and I want to be honest with you folks. Look, I don't hate Becky Lynch. I don't hate her as the SmackDown Women's Champion. Am I happy to see her back? Yes. Did I miss Becky Lynch? Yes. But the way she beat Bianca tonight, was that right to do? Was that the right call? Was that great? Was that the right creative decision? No. Absolutely not. If you don't think that, then I don't know what else to tell you. Then you're a complete blithering idiot.
Yeah.
Bianca won the Women's Royal Rumble this past January, and she beat Sasha for the SmackDown Women's title. And the main event of night one this past April in Tampa at WrestleMania 37. All that hard work, and then she loses it in quick fashion tonight to Becky Lynch. Like,
easy.
Buried. And just a slap in the face to Bianca. And it's like, you build up Bianca all the time, and then you have her lose in quick fashion like that. How dirty. They did Bianca really dirty tonight, and she deserves better. Like, you can't defend that. You can't defend that at all. At all. I don't care what anyone says, man. I don't. Oh, but Bianca, but Bianca's, she's, they could play and destroy. She wasn't that ready, man. I don't care. They could have done it much better. And this is not a Becky Lynch decision to have her the way she beat Bianca tonight. This has Vince McMahon written all over it. These two ladies should have went 10, 20 minutes max. That's what we should have gotten. Not a quick fashion like this. You give
get the show going, man.
Alexa more time than this. You have no issue with that?
I have an issue
Bianca.
with,
and I'm telling you right now, they absolutely buried Bianca tonight. They did her dirty tonight. She deserves better, Matt. And I'm telling you right now. And at this point, the way how Bianca lost quick tonight, how do you sit there and not think Bianca needs to turn heel? And at this point, she needs a heel turn now. At this point, after she lost quick tonight, if she needs a heel turn, man, she really does. If Bianca, like the SmackDown after SummerSlam this Friday, if Bianca doesn't come on SmackDown pissed and fuming, if Bianca doesn't come out like that, and if she doesn't turn heel, then why the fuck did you have her lose the way she did tonight? Then why give Becky the championship tonight? I literally don't know what to say. It's like, is there any reason for me to get upset at this point? No. It's like,
no.
What are your honest thoughts on this, man? Be honest.
I'm kind of one of those guys that I just can't believe you guys are shocked that they would do this.
Now, I knew Becky Lynch was going to return soon, but for the draft,
I'm not shocked. I'm excited that I like that Becky Lynch is back. I think they, we're trying to, feel some competition. So you have some Becky Lynch come back, and then, but the Bianca thing, I don't get why you build someone up for so long, have her win a match at WrestleMania, have her become this dominant champion, have her going to face Sasha Banks, the old dominant champion, and then you just squash her.
Yeah, just squash her. Buried.
Quick.
If she doesn't, and if you don't turn her heel, then what the fuck is the point? What the fuck's the point at that point?
You think they turn her heel?
What happened to her tonight? At this point, she needs a heel turn. Like, if
You
you
think she
have
does?
no issue with what happened with that tonight, then you are the root of the issue.
Do you think maybe they like try to put like, because Becky Lynch won in a cheap way, they might try to make her the heel?
Or maybe they try and like have Bianca try and turn heel on Becky. They need to turn
They
it.
chair. It's not looking.
I'm legit.
Then you have Sasha Banks.
Speechless.
Then you're gonna wait.
Like, I legit did not expect this, but like, you don't know how pissed I am with this, Matt.
It's a lot. I think
CM Punk returned to wrestling after 7 years on AEW, second AEW Rampage episode, right? Counterproduction with this. But Vince is not afraid of AEW, right? Sure, he's not. Sure, he's not. Right? This is not Becky's fault. She's not to blame.
No.
It's all Vince.
It's 27. There's no way the wrestlers playing that.
No, and Becky's not someone who's selfish. She's not someone who only goes out there and only puts herself over like Charlotte, like Bill Goldberg. She's not like them. She's not.
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan back in the day, in the 80s and the 90s. But I mean, I legit don't know what to say. I mean, and I love Becky Lynch. I really do. And it's not me hating on her. In the match, I don't have the problem. Okay. It's the way how they booked it. If they would have went 10 to 20 minutes, okay. But 10 seconds, I have a problem with that. And Bianca got no offense, none. Manhandle slam, 1, 2, move. 3. That's what makes it worse.
They hit by one finisher, call it a day.
Manhandle slam, no KOD, nothing. I'm telling you, man. Bianca better turn heel after this, and she better come out on SmackDown this Friday pissed, and you better turn the woman fucking heel. If not, then she is without a doubt buried.
Maybe they're just gonna release her. They do all their other superstars they have.
Well, I don't know about that, but they need to turn her heel.
I think they will.
Just turn Bianca.
I think they'll fuck this up.
And really, with the beginning of her SmackDown Women's title reign, with her cutting promos as babyface against Bayley, like with Bianca smiling and all, they just need to turn her heel. They really just turn Bianca heel. That's what they need to do. And what happened with what happened to Bianca tonight, if you don't turn her heel whatsoever, there will be a problem. Bianca turning heel is the only thing that's going. If this leads to Bianca turning heel in the storyline and such, okay. But if you don't, I will. I'm gonna blast them for that.
I would expect you
to. I'm gonna call them right out, and I'm gonna call them immediately out on their bullshit. But moving on. We then get WWE celebrating the Olympic gold medal winners Tamira Marima Mensa Stock and Gable Stevenson, who's could sign with MMA or WWE. Gable Stevenson. Stock and Stevenson then walk to the ring and celebrate with the crowd, yada, yada, yada. We then get Jinder Mahal versus Drew McIntyre. If you did not watch this match, good for you. You missed nothing with this match whatsoever, man. We got McIntyre hitting the Claymore on Jinder. McIntyre beats Mahal. What was a few minute match? Match didn't last long at all.
4 minutes.
4 minute match, yeah. Just like Alexa and Eva. 4 minutes. Drew beats Jinder clean. Is this the end of this? I hope so. Get Drew out of this bullshit. He deserves. You have Drew, a former WWE champion. He was not long ago in the WWE title picture, and you have him relegated to mid-card trash with Jinder Mahal. Not even mid-card trash, low-card trash with Mahal.
One of the best entrances in the sport.
Yeah, with the sword.
Beautiful one. Great entrance.
And you have
Love it
with Jinder.
Love it.
Yeah, and he had a good entrance tonight. And then you had Veer and Shanky check on Mahal after McIntyre beat Mahal clean, quick, and decisively. Veer and Shanky then bow up at McIntyre. McIntyre grabs Angela and the sword and swings it around the ring. Mahal and company then run away. Is this the end of the feud? I hope so. Get McIntyre in something more relevant. Who cares about Jinder Mahal? Former WWE champion, by the way, who killed SmackDown 4 years ago in 2017 when he was WWE champion.
I think Drew McIntyre deserves better. I think guys like Drew, Finn deserve better. I think
Drew and Finn feud on SmackDown. Move Drew to SmackDown if there's a draft in the fall. Drew has literally done everything on Raw. What else do you do with McIntyre on Monday? He's literally done everything there.
Unless you're going to have him win the belt.
But
do you?
I don't. But Drew is the WWE champ on Raw again. I don't want to see that after they fucked him up twice on Raw with the WWE title. I don't want to see that again.
Yeah, he needs a good rivalry right now.
He needs a change of scenery bad more than anybody.
I think like where you mentioned before with Baron, I think him, Corbin, Finn, all of them, I think all of them have a weird...
Finn I'd much rather on SmackDown than Raw. I'd do a Finn and McIntyre feud on SmackDown and turn Drew heel.
Yeah. That would be fun if you have Drew heel, you have Finn the babyface.
Yeah.
Definitely work. Yeah. He's like a monster now, especially with that sword. He's out here trying to commit murder in the ring.
Yeah, that's what I do. But I don't know. But Drew McIntyre, get him in something more relevant. He deserves a lot better. Just get him away from Jinder. And then we got the next match, Raw Women's Title match, triple threat. Nikki ASH or Nikki Ash, Nikki Ass, Nikki Trash, Nikki Can.
Don't make you really feel.
Nikki Ash versus Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair.
The GOAT.
Oh man. What do you want me to say about this match? Charlotte Flair wins, new Raw Women's Champion. How many times is this now with Charlotte as the Women's Champion? How many?
I heard someone complain about this before. So we just went through the Nikki Ash phase for fun. Was that all that was?
They had her just the Money in the Bank briefcase. They have her cash in the next night on Raw on Charlotte a month ago. Then a month later, she loses it to Charlotte. Don't be surprised if Charlotte loses it shortly again, like she did last month. It's ridiculous with the Charlotte agenda, man. It really is. It's really nauseating, and I would not be surprised if they have her break her own father's record.
They're gonna have her get
rumored to go to AEW, and if that happens, you know, Vince is gonna want to push Charlotte hard to break her father's record big. If that happens, she's
breaking 17. She's in 17.
Oh yeah.
I thought they were gonna do it tonight with John Cena, but no, they're definitely gonna have Charlotte hit 17.
And we all thought Cena and Roman were bad. They were never this bad like Charlotte is.
What is this, her like 8th, 9th?
They don't even count her NXT Women's title reigns anymore, which is stupid.
Oh, okay, they don't.
Which is stupid. It's absolutely stupid. And Nikki Cross with a superhero gimmick, man. Terrible gimmick.
Dumb. That is so dumb. Oh my god,
it's over, man. The recent house shows and recent Raws. Nikki Cross over, right? But she's coming out to booze, and if not that, then library silence. Yeah, but Nikki Cross superhero gimmick is over, right? And it works, right? Sure, it does.
They got good promos for it. They got good promos. It looks like the crowd cares.
Well, that's piped in cheers.
Yeah. You know, they're all edited before the show starts.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have Rhea Ripley, who is just dead on Monday Night Raw. Dead. With how they.
She's like what?
And I hate to say that because I loved Rhea Ripley in NXT.
She's young too. She's 24.
She's like 24, 25. Yeah, 24 years old. 25 in October. But this triple threat, we had Flair pushing Nikki down, Ripley hitting a dropkick on Charlotte. We had Nikki doing monkey flips to Rhea. We had Nikki roll up Rhea. Rhea kicks out. We then get Flair lighting Ripley and Nikki up with the knife edge chops. We then have Charlotte trying to do her awful moonsault, but Ripley gets the knees up. Charlotte's moonsault is terrible. I'm sorry, it's terrible. It's all knees. One of the worst moonsaults, man. Io Shirai does a much better moonsault than Charlotte.
Think so?
Hell yeah, absolutely. Charlotte should take notes from Io, as a matter of fact, of how to do a proper moonsault.
Who do you think's better, Charlotte or her husband?
Or who?
Who do you think's better, Charlotte or her husband? Like, if you had to watch a match, who would you rather watch?
Charlotte or Andrade? Oh, who's better? Oh, easily Andrade.
Okay. I agree.
Easily Andrade. So we then get Nikki then landing a crossbody on top of both Charlotte and Rhea. We then have Flair backbody dropping Rhea over the top. Flair hits a spiral, tap off the top into Rhea and Nikki. Nikki is then sent to the barricade. Back of the ring, Ripley locks Nikki in the prism lock. Flair tries to break it up with the boot, but Ripley evades. Ripley then boots Flair in the face and locks in the prism lock. Flair turns it into the figure eight. Nikki then hits a smash. No, not smash. It's a splash off the top to break up the submission. Ripley tries to rip the riptide again and all, but this time Nikki turns it into a DDT. Nikki misses a crossbody off the top. Charlotte locks Nikki into the figure eight. Nikki struggles to get to the ropes, but Nikki eventually taps out, and Charlotte wins and is the new Raw Women's Champion.
I guess.
Is there any reason for me to really get upset by this, Matt?
Nope, because you should have expected it.
It's just, and honestly, going to this match, and John and I talked about this with the SummerSlam preview, and I'm here in the channel. I knew Charlotte would win. Charlotte is someone that plays politics and is selfish and just buries talent, only puts themselves over with a giant and just a massive ego. I knew Charlotte was going to win this. No doubt. Because it's Charlotte. She hates losing, apparently. Now it's like, who is she? Now it's like, when does she lose it and all? The agenda, the Charlotte agenda is so nauseating. It's not even funny. It really isn't. You know for a fact they're going to have her break her own father's 16 world title reign record,
which
is not real, by the way. It's fake.
You know, it's real. You're not going to count it?
Yeah. And it's like, it's not how many times you win the title. It's what you do with the championship. Winning the title at least 12, 13 times means nothing in my books. Winning a title 12, 13 times tells me you're a 12 to 13 time loser.
It's like, I think it's way more impressive, like, if you go on a year run and you only hold it once than if you win it 4 or 5 times in a year.
Just look
that means you helped it.
He won the Universal title on August 30th, 2020 at Payback. And Roman's held the Universal title right now for a year, almost a full year. And compared to Charlotte's multiple reigns as a women's champion. Major difference. It's not about how many times you win the title, it's what you do with it. Look at Roman and what he's done. His title reign is 1,000 times better than all of Charlotte's women's title reigns. 1,000 times better.
They're just going to keep pushing her.
Until they have her break her own father's record.
Sure it is.
Believe me, Matt. I know it's coming. It's like I would not put it past. It's like knowing this company, you know it's coming. You don't believe that. Just you're in for a ride. Just watch. It's coming. It's coming. Charlotte wins, and they have and man, oh man, I can't wait for another Charlotte Becky Lynch match at the Survivor Series. Man,
that's gonna be fun.
I'm so pumped for that barn burner of a match. Becky versus Charlotte, part 2000. Man, I am so pumped. I am super duper pumped for that. Said nobody ever.
I think Charlotte against Becky Lynch is actually the only thing worth out of all this tonight in the women's division.
Yeah, Becky versus Charlotte's like the Cena versus Orton of the women's division.
yeah.
So many times, like, who cares at that point? Who wants to see that? Nobody wants to see that anymore at that point because you've done the match to death to a point where nobody wants to see the match anymore. Period. I swear, man, like I just said moments ago, if they don't have Bianca turn heel after tonight, then this makes this that much more fucking worse.
Women's division, not a good place right now.
Yep. Turn Bianca heel, or there will be a fucking issue. If Bianca doesn't turn heel after tonight,
Bianca doesn't heel, we riot.
I am so calling them out on that. I'm so
riot.
calling them out.
Should we go and riot right here in Tampa? We could do it.
Yeah, I mean Tampa and then Stamford, Connecticut. It's miles away drive from WWE headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut. Grab the pitchforks and the fire torches and starting a riot.
That's what I'm saying.
Starting a mob, you know. It's like miles away from in Stamford, Connecticut, you know. Just go to Titan Towers, you know.
No biggie.
Try and torture Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn and his beaver buck-like teeth. And Bruce Pritchard and John Laurinaitis, Nick Khan, no relation to Tony Khan. Women's division's awful right now. It really, really, really is, man. It really is, Matt. It really, really is, Matt. Like, again, if Bianca doesn't turn, then you know I'm gonna call them out with absolutely no holding back.
You should. I think the night was saved. I think the next match did all right.
Yeah, we then get Edge for Seth Rollins. The stage is set on fire and all. We have Seth Rollins, and what the hell was he wearing tonight?
Yo, that's the king of drip. All right.
With the suits, Seth the Clown with the suits, man.
The king of drip.
Oh, this guy here.
Yeah, the king of drip, man.
Yeah.
I don't know why you guys hate on the king of drip.
Yeah, but his theme.
You tell me when. Nick, you tell me you wouldn't wear one of those suits?
I don't know, maybe one, but.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You would wear the suits.
Yeah, but I will admit though, his theme song is trash.
Garbage.
And apparently, like, it's by Def Rebel, like CFOs. I wish was still there. Def Rebel and their music is absolute garbage. It is garbage. I even heard. I think last year they won an Emmy award for it. I think.
Did they?
Yeah, which I heard. And then,
we should get that.
I'm like,
Emmy
why?
award.
It's terrible.
They should.
The only good Def Rebel themes are Karrion Kross, Biggie, and Roman Reigns, and it's not even Def Rebel's music.
Seth Rollins, though, he looks good when he walks.
Wale's and Roman.
Not sound good, but it looks good.
Yeah. Seth needs to get better music, big time, Matt. But I did like Edge's entrance with the Brood, than Edge's regular music. Man, oh man, like, and only if Christian didn't go to AEW. Imagine if Edge would have had Christian and Gangrel.
I've been dope.
Yeah, but Edge's entrance I really liked. This match was this was brilliant. Probably the best match of the night in everyone's books. When you look at after tonight, this match is going to be up there for best match of the night, hands down. This match was very good.
It actually made the weird rivalry make sense and fun.
Yeah, they brought up their history from 2014 when Seth threatened to paralyze Edge with the curb stomp on the Money in the Bank at the end of 2014. They brought up the history with Seth Rollins and the Shield with Reigns and Ambrose and all that other stuff. And I enjoyed their build, and they had a really good match here, man. And it amazes me, Matt. Like, you look at a guy like Goldberg, look at a guy like Edge. They're both in their 50s. But a difference is, Matt, one can barely keep up, but the other, at almost 50, yet he still goes in the ring like if he's 20 to 30 years old.
Yeah, Edge looks fine against Seth Rollins. It looks like he and Seth are the same age.
48. Yet he still goes like if he's 25 to 30.
He went 21 minutes with Seth tonight.
Yeah, and it was easily the best match of tonight. And he's only nearing 50, and he's moving around like if he's younger. And at this point,
47,
yeah. At this point, age is just a number in wrestling. It really is. Maybe age mattered in wrestling. Age mattering in wrestling, maybe that mattered in all back in the day, but not anymore now. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, look at guys like Edge, AJ Styles, Rey Mysterio, Finn Balor, Kofi Kingston, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan. They're in their 40s, 50s, but yet they're going like they're in the ring like they're 20 to 30. So some people, they're too old, they're washed up and past their prime. No, it doesn't. At this point in wrestling, and there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't matter how old you are. Edge is a perfect example of this. Edge is one of the perfect examples of this. It does not matter how old you are, as long as you can still keep up in that ring. And if you're moving on like you should be moving, then I don't care how old you are. But if you're old and if you're losing several steps and you're botching your own signature.
You look like Goldberg.
Yeah, like Goldberg, who's botching his own, who can't even do a spear good anymore, who nearly paralyzed Lashley tonight, almost killed him.
That you saw that the MVP
push? He's barely keeping up, and if he is botching his own big moves and signatures and finishers and all, and if he's getting up there and aging, then it's about time for Goldberg to then it would be about time to retire and all. But Edge is nearing 50, and for nearing 50, he's doing great in the ring, like keeping up, like he's wrestling in the ring like 20 or 30, though he's nearing 50. And it's crazy to think that. It really is.
Won by submission too.
Yeah, with like a crossface thing. And Seth tapped out.
Weird. Which is cool.
I honestly thought Seth would win because he's been losing a lot in pay-per-views lately. I know Edge too, but Rollins as well. But Edge wins. Good match. Where do you think both guys go from here after tonight? And I honestly think this is Edge's last match for this year up until next year.
That's why I was like, I think they'll probably keep Edge on the shelf for a while. I think they'll keep him bring him back around Royal Rumble for a WrestleMania run. We can do it, Seth. Do you have him face Finn Balor?
I don't know. Maybe
you have him face
maybe they move him to Raw in the draft this fall.
They could move him. Do you have him on Bobby Lashley go at it?
I don't know. I mean, I have no interest in that at all. But I don't know. But but maybe I don't know. I don't know if they continue this and maybe Seth puts him out. Maybe this writes Edge off TV and he goes away for a while until WrestleMania season next year. They could do that, but I don't know if that's going to be the case. And Edge won tonight, so I don't know if that's really going to be the case. But
because they kind of devalue him a lot because he's lost 3 of the last 4 or something like that in the pay-per-views.
Yeah.
So his value wouldn't be that high right now because he's just lost to 50-year-old Edge.
Yeah, exactly. And with Roman,
So you couldn't run him for a
with
belt.
Roman feuding with Brock and Balor right now, Seth to Raw in the draft this fall, that could be.
Would you
be. Maybe they move Rollins for McIntyre.
Could do that.
It's possible to think, but I don't know. But we'll see what happens with that. But this was a very good match with Edge and Seth. 21 minutes, Edge wins. Easily the best thing of tonight, hands down. And Edge at 50, crazy to think at him at 50, he can still go in the ring like if he's in his 20s.
The young buck.
20 to 30. Yeah, young buck, yeah. Even guys like Billy Gunn, AJ Styles, CM Punk, 42-43. He looked great on the second episode of AEW Rampage. Even a guy like Sting at 62.
Yeah, Sting is different.
He wrestled not long ago on Dynamite, like last week, or this past Wednesday on Dynamite.
Yeah, he was right. Yeah, it was Wednesday.
Yeah, and at 62, he still moves around like if he's younger. So it's crazy. It's like, I don't care if you're 40, I don't care if you're 50, 60, 70, 80, older. If you can still keep up in the ring, then I don't care how old you are. Edge is a perfect example of that. I don't care what he does or whatever, because in ring wise, he's doing good. Is Edge. But
I think Edge was great.
But yeah. And then we move on to the WWE Championship match. Or no, not that. In-ring segment, Miz and Morrison with the dripstick thing and Xavier Woods and all. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? This is terrible. I don't want to talk about this a lot at all. I don't want to talk about it all because that's how bad it was. WWE Championship match. Bobby Lashley with MVP versus Goldberg.
Right outcome.
Yeah,
right winner.
I was fearful they were gonna have Goldberg
right winner
on a program CM Punk, but Becky Lynch counter programming Punk. I don't know about that, but Goldberg winning would have been, but Goldberg didn't win. Thank God.
I think him tossing his 14-year-old kid around was cool.
No, this match was bad.
They're both not good workers. What do you expect?
Both men who are not ringleaders. Of course, you're going to have a terrible, terrible match. There was one spot where Lashley's on the top rope. Goldberg catches him, cuts him off, tosses Lashley off the top rope, and Lashley almost landed right on his neck. Almost paralyzed Lashley, could have killed the man. Goldberg, please stay out of the ring. Goldberg is reckless, dangerous. He does not belong in the ring anymore at all. At all. They don't need Goldberg anymore. And this is the reason and that spot right there is a perfect example as to why of that. He could have killed Lashley tonight. He almost paralyzed The Undertaker at Super Showdown 2019.
I mean, even his spear. Did you see his malarkey spear they gave him against when he's talking to MVP? And, Bobby Lashley pushes back and he spears him. Doesn't even look like the same spear anymore. It looks like he's 100 doing it.
Yeah, I mean, Goldberg, he can't even do a spear without being gassed right afterwards. Even the spear he can't even do good anymore. Jackhammer, he can't even pick up anyone. Jackhammer anymore.
Not for long.
He couldn't even pick up the Fiend at Super Showdown 2020, which looked like a regular vertical suplex.
How about those Crown Jewel matches?
Don't even remind me of that with Goldberg burying the Fiend at Super Showdown 2019. One of the worst decisions. Don't even remind me of that. That was god awful. God awful.
And it's always going to get better.
Yeah. And only 2 more matches left with Goldberg. Thank Christ. Goldberg and Lashley. Terrible, terrible match. We had the match start up with the lockup, a collar and elbow tie up. Boring as shit. We had Lashley trying to jackhammer on Goldberg. We then have Goldberg calling for a spear. Goldberg spears Lashley on the outside. We then had Lashley working on Goldberg. Goldberg's favoring his leg. Goldberg loses to Lashley via ref stoppage. Good. Right outcome. Goldberg loses. Good. I was very fearful of him winning that match against
They're
Lashley.
going to have Goldberg win, no cap.
I was very fearful Lashley was going to lose that title. Thank God he didn't.
I thought they were going to fuck that up.
And then we had Lashley after the match grabbing a chair and hits Goldberg in the leg with it over and over. Goldberg then hops in the ring and jumps on Lashley's back. Lashley flicks him off and locks him in the hurt lock. We then
beat up kids.
And then MVP grabs the mic and says Lashley had no way of knowing that was Goldberg's son. Goldberg then realizes what happened. MVP and Lashley then leave the ring as Goldberg yells that he's going to kill Lashley. Is this over between these two? Probably not. And God help us all.
They're going to see run this Extreme Rules.
Or Crown Jewel.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia.
This is...
Dude, God help us all. But I'm glad Lashley won here. Very glad Lashley
won. He should just win all those matches.
Goldberg and Lashley sucked. It was bad, man. Just bad. Mr. Bill Goldberg, please don't wrestle anymore. Stay out of the ring. You're not needed in the ring anymore. Just retire. Please retire. You're not needed in the ring anymore. You nearly killed Lashley tonight. You almost killed The Undertaker at Super Showdown 2 years ago, and you almost killed Lashley tonight. Almost paralyzed him tonight. Please stay out of the ring, Goldberg. You're not needed in the ring anymore, Bill Goldberg. And then the main event, Universal Championship match. Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, out of the table with Paul Heyman versus John Cena. This match here, main event SummerSlam, and rightfully so. This was definitely the right main event for SummerSlam, no doubt about it.
Big match feel.
Oh, yeah. We had Reigns Reigns doing a lot of trash talking to the crowd during this thing, a lot of it.
Yeah, he's went full heel. I love it.
Yeah. There was also before this match, Usos being told to head to the back. So Roman did this by himself with Heyman there, obviously, but no Usos, which I like. I definitely like. Hey, heels don't need to have cronies. Also, well, the Usos are not cronies, but heels don't need other heels to have them at ringside all the time.
No, they can win cleanly. I think it's all right.
Yeah. I agree. So we had this match here. We had Reigns mocking Cena, clubbing at Cena. We had Reigns put Cena in a sleeper at one point. We had Cena hit his 5 moves of doom. Reigns turns a 5-knuckle shuffle into a guillotine, which looked nice. Cena floats over into a pin. Reigns kicks out. Superman punch from Roman. He then tries a spear, but Cena boots Reigns in the head. 5-knuckle shuffle by Cena. Cena hits the AA. Reigns kicks out. Cena locks in the STF on Roman. Roman gets to the ropes. Roman rolls out of the ring. Cena follows. Reigns surprises Cena with a drive-by. Reigns then tries a spear outside. But Cena lifts Reigns up and he hits another AA through the announce table. Table explodes. Cena tosses Reigns back in the ring and attempts a pin. 1, 2, kick out. Near fall. And I thought it was it there. And the
next one I thought was really over.
Legit shit scared. I thought they were going to give Cena the title.
I thought they were going to give him the 17.
Yeah. And then they had Cena dive off the top into a powerbomb by Reigns. Cena kicks out. Then series of counters. Reigns lands another Superman punch. Cena kicks out. Reigns calls for a spear, but Cena sidesteps. Reigns crashes into the ring post. Cena hits a super AA off the top. Reigns kicks out again. So 3 AAs and Roman kicks out. The second and the third AA, I legit thought it was over. I legit thought they were gonna have Reigns lose clean. I was like, this is it, and Reigns just kicks out. I was legit shit scared when that happened, man. I was like,
the third one,
Roman lose, like, oh, thank God he kicked out. You know,
the second one
twice that had me like that.
The second one, I was like, oh
gave
no,
me a heart attack, man.
And then the third one, I was like, oh, they're definitely giving him this one. And then he did, and I was like, oh, it was like,
yeah. And then Cena then mocks Reigns and goes for a spear. Reigns kicks Cena right in the face. Both men trade strikes. Reigns then hits another Superman punch on Cena. Then Reigns eventually hits his spear for the win. And the winner is still the Universal Champion, Roman Reigns.
They didn't fuck it up.
And we get
so happy
afterwards, like we mentioned earlier, Brock Lesnar returning with the mohawk ponytail. I'm gonna have to get used to the Brock Lesnar ponytail, man. I'm so used to him with no long hair, man.
It's gonna take some time.
I will say it looks kind of cool and me, looks unique in it, but
definitely different.
There were rumors actually of Lesnar going to All Elite Wrestling. Apparently, those rumors are not true at all. He's not going to AEW.
And it's open that pocketbook.
Returned tonight. Had a face off with Roman. The match, Cena Reigns, I enjoyed it. I remember Cena Reigns wrestling at No Mercy 2017. That was before Roman was the tribal chief as a heel. And at No Mercy 2017, that match was not good. I feel like their match tonight was better than their match at No Mercy 2017.
I think 1,000 times better.
Brock Lesnar back. He looks good. Cena Reigns, I definitely enjoyed myself with that match. And it was actually what it needed to be. Not a squash. You have Cena in there. Like, he's in the match. You have him almost win, but then in the end, Reigns beats him.
I think they had the match perfect. I thought you had to bring Reigns to the limit.
And yeah, and then Brock returning. Yeah, my thoughts on that. Matt, what are your thoughts on all that? Floor is yours.
I think the Roman Reigns John Cena match was great. I think you had to bring Roman Reigns to the limits to show that, like, he's a true champ, true rival, true heel. And then you could show him off as, like, he can take on anyone. He can beat anyone. You have not even 3 finishers can beat Roman Reigns. You have to do something crazy to beat Roman Reigns. Makes you even doubt that, like, Brock Lesnar, even 3 F5s can't beat Roman Reigns right now. Like, I think Roman Reigns is the favorite in that, even right now. So I think he's on another, he's a year he's had this thing.
Yeah, I think he won the Universal title last year on August 30th at Payback last year, beating The Fiend and Braun Strowman.
I think especially in pro wrestling, I think your champion is a really big deal. And I think WWE might have the best champion. Like, Roman Reigns is the champion. Like, he's dominant. He's great. He's like a heel you cheer to win. You're like, I hope he wins. I hope he wins.
There's people on Twitter that want Roman to lose the title. Like, Roman is like
trolls,
an untouchable god at this point. He beat Cena clean tonight. He's gonna beat Brock and he's gonna beat The Rock. And after he beats Cena, Lesnar, and Dwayne Johnson, like, it's over. Like, Reigns will be just like Reigns will be like just that untouchable at that point. And it's like, and Roman's doing so good right now. Why would you even think about taking the championship off of him right now? Why would you do that?
He's the head of the table. I love the gimmick. It's great.
Roman's a better heel than a face, and when he turns face, he's going to be the most over guy in the company. And I think when he turns back face, he'll be a much better face than he was years ago. But
at first he felt like
Reigns the heel with the tribal chief stuff. It's great.
I think I feel like Roman Reigns, when he was first, he was kind of like being thrown on us. Like, you gotta like him. You gotta like him. They actually built his character this time, and he's actually, like, really good. Like, so when he does turn face in a year or two, like, it's actually worth something. Where you're like, I actually like this guy for a period of time.
Yeah, and it's like, when you're that good at what you do, You do not take the title off of them. It makes absolutely no sense. And Roman is doing that good currently. Why would you take the title off of him right now? There's nobody at Roman's level right now. Nobody. And Big E's not the answer to that.
No,
Oh,
please.
but Big E not cash on Roman. Why not, man? He's not at Roman's level right now at all. He's not.
I get trying to push Big E, but not right now.
It's too soon. He's not ready for that spot yet.
No, Roman is.
Or two, but now, absolutely no. Absolutely
no. Roman's God right now.
You could do Finn Balor, but he just came back.
Roman Reigns, if he loses that title before WrestleMania, they fucked up.
Absolutely. And you got to have him beat Cena, you got to have him beat Brock, and you got to have him beat The Rock. That's what you need to do.
And we make him the best of the era. Like you've been pushing him for the last 6 years.
And have him be champion even after that longer until you have someone that's close to his level.
This is worth it. I mean,
and actually, and JD from NY206, a YouTube podcaster and with Off the Script, big fan of JD and Off the Script. Shout out to JD. He even mentioned this on his channel and recently and before, and he makes a very good point, and I absolutely agree with the man. What Roman's doing right now is like the Undertaker with his WrestleMania undefeated streak before it was broken by Brock Lesnar. It's almost like an Undertaker Mania undefeated streak. Why would you have Roman lose right now?
No, I think it shares that like same value of like it has to be worthy of the loss. Like the loss has to make sense. Like Brock Lesnar in theory does make sense to beat the streak because he's the beast at the time. But like right now, like why would you Roman Reigns? He has no reason to lose. Why would you? What benefit?
Going right back to square one.
Yeah, him lose if he drops the Brock, it makes zero sense. Because Brock Lesnar is basically just doing 3 years ago.
Exactly.
And then you're gonna have
Why would you even take the title off Roman? It makes absolutely no fucking sense. When you have somebody else, when you build up somebody else, when you have somebody else along the line that is close enough to Roman's level, or even better, or even close enough to Roman's level, then that's when you can start discussing taking the championship off of Roman. And if not, then Roman should have a title reign like Walter and like Kaylee Ray did a while ago with the NXT UK Women's Championship, honestly. And the longer Roman holds the championship, Matt, the bigger story it's going to be for, like, it's like a new, like a new talent to make a new star should be the one to beat Roman, honestly. And the longer Roman holds the title, the bigger story and bigger moment it's going to be for whoever beats Roman, which it should be a new talent.
I think you either have to have like
it's going to make a big moment for a new star that should beat Roman for that championship when the time's right, like a Keith Lee or Shinsuke Nakamura, anybody like that.
I think you would have to have him drop it to either like someone you're going to try to push as a big star or like someone that's been a while in the company, like the Kofi Kingston moment, like where he won after 11 years. It would have to be it's going to have to be a huge moment, like huge moment, because he's
build up somebody, and Roman's not going to be there forever, so you need to build up somebody close enough, a new talent. You need to build them up close enough to Roman's level for them to take the title off Roman, that new talent, and they don't have that right now, and they need to really build someone else up that's a new talent in order to do that, because Roman's not going to be there forever. I could see him even going into Hollywood sooner or later.
I mean, that's what they all do,
Brock
right?
And Cena did. So it's like Roman shouldn't lose. He's doing that good right now. Like, look at the guys he's beat. Braun Strowman, The Fiend. He's beat Jey Uso. He's beat Kevin Owens. He's beaten Daniel Bryan. He's beaten Edge. He's beaten Cesaro, Rey Mysterio, Edge, Daniel Bryan. He beat John Cena tonight. He's going to beat Brock Lesnar. He'll probably beat Finn Balor. He's going to beat The Rock. Like, dude, especially after he beats Brock, after he beats Rock, Lesnar, and Cena. Like, dude, it's over at that point. You'll just be that untouchable by that point.
They just don't have to fuck it up.
Why would you even think, oh, Roman needs to lose the title? Oh, I'm sick of him as Universal Champion.
You're a hater.
Yeah. If you think Roman should lose the title right now, then you are the root of the issue. Roman should not lose until there's a guy that's close to his level. And right now, there's nobody right now.
I agree.
This was a really good match with, the Cena Reigns match. I enjoyed it. This was much better than their match at No Mercy 2017, in my opinion. Brock looks good. He's back. Looks like we're getting Lesnar and Reigns. I know the next pay-per-view is Extreme Rules next month of September, but Lesnar and Reigns at Extreme Rules, I wouldn't do that at Extreme Rules. I'd do it for like a Survivor Series. And
I would run like Roman Reigns, Finn Balor at Extreme Rules.
Raw vs. SmackDown, Brandon versus wherever. You could still do that at the Survivor Series, but you could also have a Universal title match at the Survivor Series this year as well. And Survivor Series this year is in Barclays Center in Brooklyn. And that could set up Roman and Rock for Mania in Dallas next year.
I could.
You could do that. And it's the 25th anniversary of The Rock when he debuted at the 1996 Survivor Series in New York City. Though this year's Survivor Series is in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center.
Sometimes these things write themselves.
Exactly. So Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, I would do at Survivor Series instead of Extreme Rules. Extreme Rules is just a D-level gimmick pay-per-view that nobody's gonna watch. I
would have Roman Reigns go against like Finn Balor or something like that.
Yeah. Or
have him squash
somebody else.
Yeah, squash him, torch him, have a fun match.
Squash Balor, but make him look good. Because Roman Reigns has the golden glove too, Matt. And anything Roman touches turns to gold. And he makes everybody else around him look that much more good. Just look at what he did with Edge and Kevin Owens. Perfect examples. Jey Uso.
Yeah. So you just have him, have a fun match with one of those guys, put their stardom up, keep him with the belt, and keep it pushing.
Yeah. I understand Lesnar and Reigns. Some people have a problem with that. What happened in 2018? Nobody wanted to see it anymore after that period. But with what Roman's doing now Lesnar's back, just have Paul Heyman write the story and it's all set. The story legit tells itself, Matt. They don't even have to write anything. Just have Heyman be in charge of the whole thing and boom.
Who knows, though? It's with Vince McMahon we're dealing with.
Lesnar, I could see as the face in this thing because Roman's clearly a clear-cut heel in this thing. You're not turning him face anytime soon at all. Definitely not anytime soon.
Nope.
But Heyman turning on Brock, do you see him turning on Roman or turning on Brock if we do get the match?
I think Paul Heyman stays with Roman.
I think so, too. I think it's the right decision to make there. But
I think it'd make no sense for him to go back to Brock. It's like going back to square one.
Exactly. And nobody really wants that. But Reigns and Cena enjoyed it. Lesnar Reigns looks like that's what they're going with. We'll have to see what they do with that. But SummerSlam I thought was subpar at best. There was at least a few good things, but other than that, SummerSlam, I'd grade it like a D plus, if I'm being generous.
I'd say C-.
Yeah. If it wasn't for Brock, for Brock, if it wasn't for Brock, I'd say a D plus.
I think Brock and I think Seth Rollins and Edge really brought it.
I agree. Thank you guys so much for joining myself and Matt for the SummerSlam review right here on the channel. I thought we did pretty well, and we did our best to try and cover this as best and entertaining as we could. But Matt, it's really great to have Matt here on the show. I thought we did pretty good tonight. Matt, any words before we wrap up and get the hell out of here?
No, just thanks for having me, Nick.
You are very welcome, Matt. Always glad to have you here. And before we end the video right here, hit the like on the video. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well, folks. Hit the bell for all notifications if you haven't done so yet. And follow me on Twitter at FioriNick579. Follow me on Instagram at NicholasFiori2014. And follow me on Facebook at Nicholas.Fiori.31 over on Facebook. And follow Matt on Twitter as well. Links in the description and all and such. And that is that, folks. I'm Nick Fiori. This is Matt Doherty. Thank you guys so much for joining us for the SummerSlam 2021 review and results video. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And thank you guys so much for joining, and hope you guys really, really liked the video. Had a good time with the video here, folks. And really glad to have you guys here watching the video. I'm Nick Fiori. This is Matt Doherty. And I will see you next time right on the channel for more content right here on the Fiori Nation channel, right here on YouTube.com. Nick Fiori, Matt Doherty, SummerSlam 2021 review. Thank you guys, and I will talk to you guys later.